We want to give an additional perspective here that when we actually read the Old Testament from the Old Testament perspective, instead of the 21st century scientific perspective, we actually see a grander view of what God is doing. For example, we actually get this in the book of Abraham, that the word create here in Hebrew also has a sense of organizing, bringing things that are in chaotic disorder into order. And as we go through these passages, you'll notice how God is separating opposites that have been commingled into chaotic disorder. And he's ordering the world. So part of what God does is when he does creation, he's actually organizing, putting order. So that's the first thought, is the creation story is about organizing. Second thought is the creation story is the answer to what question? So we often have scientific questions, but when God originally revealed this, people were not asking the scientific questions we ask today. So if we actually understand the questions that people had, then we can read this with, I think, greater awareness and understanding and personal value. And it's, again, God wanting to reveal who he is, who we are, and why this is all happening. And it's actually the 7 days seem to be patterned on an ancient temple dedication plan, where there was a 7-day dedicatory service. And on the 7th day, the king would rest from all his labors, and everybody be resting from their labors of preparing the temple for God to be there and to be holy. So if you read the creation story through that lens, it's also very interesting through the temple perspective. And then finally, the third thing that might be helpful if we look at the ancient perspective, the ancient Israelite perspective, in their world, in their time, existence was brought about by things being given a name with a purpose and a function. It's really interesting. When we think about existence today, we think about materiality and that it's got atoms and molecules. And certainly God made use of all those things. But in the storytelling that God revealed in the creation story to his people anciently, he was helping them to see the purpose and function of the world in their salvation. So I want to make this really clear. In the ancient world, for the ancient Israelites, for them, existence happened when something had purpose and function, and that purpose and function had a name. So as you're reading the creation story, look at actually how God names things. He says things like, let there be light. You might notice in the creation story, the sun and the moon and stars are actually created after this time. We might think from a scientific standpoint, how can there be light if there's no sun, moon, and stars? But if you think about it from ancient Israelite perspective, as God's trying to reveal to them that he is the source of light. He is the one who brings it into being. And he gives it purpose and function, and the name conveys that. So those two things, look for purpose and function, and then look for how names are used to tell doctrinal stories that can matter to our lives.